Welcome back, you guys, to the Supercoach update. Following round 13, it was a great week. Just some housekeeping. We will be doing the buy, hold, risk it, sell video for fantasy tomorrow. Scoop, thankfully, got his dream job, he said, which is amazing. But he's now a little bit under the weather, and we thought we'd wait as well till he gets a little bit better, but also once Origin is done, so we can have a little bit more of an idea around injuries and potential for backups, on Thursday morning especially. And we have all the way until Friday night to make our trades for that first game of round 14. So there you go, there in that one. So 1,126 last week, good for a 607 round 13 rank. We had a massive one in this week here. We went all the way, we were about 1,250 a few weeks ago, out to 2,600, then out to 3,900, back down to 1,200 now for the season rank, which is great news. Sitting with 21 trades, team value is almost at 15 million, so yeah, still very high on that one. And round 15 is going to be interesting. I have no Cowboys players, and I'm going to have the pick of between probably like 21 players, potentially to fit the squad. And we've seen what my reserve picks have been like the last few weeks. Well, this week's been good. I didn't have to worry about it. But round 12 was an interesting one with Buller in the reserves and not, sorry, on the bench and not in the reserves there. So yeah, a massive week for me. And what that does mean, though, as we'll see in a sec, is that I do have a bunch of the Knights, Eels, and also, Garrick from Manly there to kind of cause me a few issues. But in the league I'm in, did end up with the highest score, which was good. And yeah, we'll have a look at my squad there and how we went. So we started by trading in Jermaine Osako, which was massive news there with the 100 to go along with Marshall King's 89. Couchman got over for a try, so I had him in my 14 available players. And also Ben Murdoch-Masila in that game, which you see now that he was the only one at 42 that wasn't counted. So that was pretty cool that every other player got over 42 and I wasn't stuck with any low score from round 13. But it was thankfully a week with very minimal injuries and suspensions, send-off, sin bins. So yeah, great scores across the board there in that one. And Couchman with a 56. Good on you, son. Let's move to Dylan Brown then, 84. I decided in this one to vice-captain, well, I should have vice-captained Sarko, but I ended up vicing Hopgood there, which before the Cody Walker game, the South game there, he was at 68, and I was like, I feel like Cody should be able to get somewhere around that mark. And then has the upside, obviously, so I won't take the 68. He did go up to 74, which, if I did take it in the end, would have netted me 6 points. So, not the biggest deal in the world. We had Tohu Harris at a 62 for our trade in there. Wasn't his best game, so I'd expect him to, if he continues to get 80 minutes, to score probably a little bit better than that. Did have a few missed tackles, didn't tackle at that 50-plus mark and had no attacking stats at all. No tackle breaks, no offloads there, which was fine. Cody Walker had 3 try assists, 2 try contributions, and still got a 68, so it was a little bit of a tough one. I was hoping that he could get them over the line and he picked up a try or an assist there. But I was actually semi-worried about this game. I thought that Canberra were a decent chance of winning it, and just with South missing a few of their players, that Walker may have to kind of put them on his back, which in a way was good. It kind of played out exactly as I thought, to be honest with you, in the end. So a little bit worried, but the 68 was was fine as our trade-in as well. So the trade-ins last week did work out really, really well. Happy with, obviously, Walker with the 68, happy enough. And then, Osako with the 100 was huge as well. So good result for those two there. And then, Horsburgh with the 99. So I was a bit annoyed when I traded in him over DeBellin that week when DeBellin went over for a try. But, we got the try back in this one and DeBellin got the low one. So swings and roundabouts, eh? And then we went Joe Tarpany with the 82. So he's been named in the 13 again. And I'm very excited for that one in this week, and he got that 82. So after the lowest score the week before, good to have him back in the winner's circle. And then finish off great, guys, with Alex Johnson with the 70, Greg Marzu with the 138. So yeah, great this week. Him and Garrick going to be a little bit annoying holding them on the bench this week with obviously them both having their bye. Garrick with the 55. He snuck over the Murdoch-Masila there of 42. So that was my 14 for the week, and yeah, a great score and put me back in some good rankings. But now, having, as I said, a lot of those players that have a bye in round 14, and then a couple of guys on the bench like David Mwale. We've got Couchman out this week. Not that we really want to play him anyway. You've got Murdoch-Masila on the bench. There becomes a few issues for our side heading into into this week there. And now we look at it, and I've got Brandon Smith as well, who is a trade out obviously, but the options available to me are fairly slim. Obviously, Sonny Luke at the cheapest price, along with Turpin. They're the two guys, but Turpin, like, you're looking mainly at base stats, and like, yes, he's going to play bigger minutes this week, but is it going to be enough for him to score more than like a 30 to 40 and just kind of be a plotter and, you know, make a tiny bit of cash? And you know, do you really want to play him in your side every week? No. Yeah, he's going to be a number in 16, but how much is it going to help you? So I think we might look to avoid Terps in that one. Sonny Luke, you know, there's again talk of him playing some more minutes, but you know, is that going to be a potential option for us? I'm not sure. And then you've got Jacob Little at 370 odd. So you look at his scores there, and again, minutes haven't been there in a lot of them. So a lot of those really low scores, you see that he played sort of that 30 to 40 minutes. Then there's games there where he got, you know, 34 points in, you know, the 50 odd minutes the week previous to last before he got that 110. So that's definitely something you need to look at as well. And, you know, is he going to be playing close to that full 80? I don't think so. Is he going to be around that 60 mark, 55, 60? Yes, like unless he continues to come out and hit line breaks and tries. But, you know, their next couple of weeks are really hard as well. They actually play, you know, Panthers this week, but, you know, obviously with a few guys backing up. But then they have the Sharks, I believe, in the following week. So, yeah, it makes it pretty tough to select a couple of these guys, you know, especially the Dragons, you know, outside backs, and especially, you know, him there, who's more of an attacking player, and you want the attacking stats from him. It's going to be very hard to select him with, you know, a couple of really tough matchups ahead of him. So Smith, I'm finding really difficult to downgrade, which is kind of what I want, because I do want to upgrade in other spots so I can get a good 17 on the park this week. So if you go up, you've obviously got, you know, Damien Cook as potentially the best option there, I would say. Not really too many other guys that you'd be looking at this week, because I already have Jeremy Marshall-King, who's been, you know, the best so far. He obviously outdid Cookie, even without a try. Yeah, Cookie had his try for 72, and that worked out well. So that's where we're at in the hooking position. It's really, really tough, guys, and I don't think, I think you need to, even if I'm looking at Smithy now, maybe I can just hold this week and not trade. I'm currently sitting with 17 players, but the issue here is obviously, Welchie, an okay one, averaging 50. Can't complain too much there. We've got, Horsburgh and also Taps, which is great. Jeremy Marshall-King's up there as well. Not worried about any of them. I did hold on to Wilton and Preston in the end. I did trade out for feeder to be able to get, Sarko and Cody Walker and those guys. They're trading out Isaiah Katoa, which worked out well last week because he would have been a trade out anyway. So Wilton and Preston were held instead of Fafita. And if Fafita plays big minutes, I doubt, for Origin, I doubt he comes out, and he was named obviously, but I doubt he comes out and absolutely smashes it for the Titans. And that's what I'm hoping for anyway. I'm going to be crossing my fingers and toes on that one, that's for sure. And then we're looking at Tohu Harris as well. So those three guys are going to be available to play. What I don't want to do is play Ben Murdoch-Masila. So there's one guy already that in my 17 that I don't want to play. Hopgood's going to stay there on the bench. He did a great job last week. Hines and Cleary, we obviously want both of them to back up, but at least one, and hopefully that is Hines, because he'll likely be my captain this week, or at least my vice, and we'll make our decisions from there. Could potentially be one of those center wings that we throw that on, and we need one of them to back up. 17 at the moment. If one of them doesn't play, that's 16. If I don't want to play Murdoch-Masila, that's 15 currently that where I'm at in trying to get a good squad on the park. Dylan Brown there on the pine as well. To go along with our center wings with Garrick and Marzu, who played well last week, but they're going to sit on the pine as well. We then have a pretty good center wing. We got Asako Malatalo, who are held, and Billy Smith as well with Alex Johnson. So all four of those guys I'm completely fine with. Billy Smith a little bit contentious, but they have a solid matchup this week, and I think against the Dogs, so they should be. I think that should be a solid one for them, and he should be able to bounce back and score much better than he did the week before last in round 12. And then Alamotti is the only one on the reserves that I'm like, I don't really want to play him, but again, he is due some attacking stats, so he's plotting around that 30 to 40 odd at the moment for his 40 average. But we saw a couple of games at the start of the year when he was able to get in some open pasture and sort of put on some tries for Adokar, and he got one himself. That's all he's got this year, so definitely due for an Alamotti try. Not sure if we do want to play him again, so that puts us down another guy that we're not super keen on. And then in the fullback position, we've got Buller and also Gutho. So some general trade thoughts for me heading into this week are around the Couchman Murdoch-Masila scenario. Someone who's interesting and I think could score a lot better than obviously bringing in like a Turpin or something like that, and that is Jayden Okunbor. Very, very weird selection, obviously, but he has scored 2 tries and playing through the middle the last 2 weeks. That's been a way that he's been able to get on the park 4 minutes and obviously get his tackles in there. And he's a big body and has some attacking stats and some tackle breaks and offloads, along with obviously some tries in his game. And he's been given the opportunity to play on that right edge, so there's a good chance that I may be owning Preston and also Ockenbaugh. He's a little bit more expensive than Couch, so I could do that in one trade, and that would get me to 17 players, removing Murdoch-Masila as an option. So I could just do the one trade there. Other option is to go for Jacob Little from Brandon Smith. That gets me almost 70k there, so almost 90k in the salary remaining. I could then go up from Couchman to Ockenbaugh, and really the issue here is I would be looking at potentially Alamotti to like Karaz. He's obviously a solid option this week as that real cheap guy. There's other guys that are very expensive in that centre wing with Meaney, and obviously in the fullbacks with Dylan Edwards, but do you want to be paying over 800k for Dylan Edwards? Do you want to be playing close to 700k for Nick Meaney? That's really tough to play that one out. Really, if he's in your centre wings, you should have a majority of these type of guys. Like if you don't own a Marzu, then you've got someone to cover this week. Whether it's Mulatalo, whether it's whether it is a Meaney, whether it is someone else like that. You shouldn't, like, most likely you don't have, like, most people have Garrick, but most people don't have Marzu. So you should be able to get, like, I've got those 2 and still have 5 available. So I don't think centre wings are going to be the issue this week. Potentially your halfback could be an issue if you held if you've got Isaiah Katoa up there and Cleary, and then Cleary there's some type of issue and he doesn't back up, then you definitely need to do something with Katoa. I think just to make sure you're getting a solid 17 on the park. If you have Hines and Cleary, then you just hope they both get through unscathed and at least one of them plays. 5/8 is a position where a lot of people went the Walker Brown way there. In the 2RF there's a bunch of options. Obviously, the couple of guys that I own here, Wilton, Preston. You've got Nikora, who's that little bit more expensive that will do a great job for you. And then you can go to a couple of the Tigers guys, Isaiah Papali'i and Johnny Bateman. There are 2 guys that sort of that, a little bit under that gun price right now. Papali'i's had a fairly low year at the moment, very low on attacking stats. Bateman has had a few, which is why you'll see last week had that better score, well, last time they played anyway. And he could be one of those guys that has the lower break even that you could select this week. Isaiah Papali'i has the higher break even, close to, in the 90s there. So he's someone that you could wait on, but he's also someone that could come out and jag a try this week and start back on his incredible form of last season. He's been averaging very well this year, but the last 2 years he went 79 and 78 as an average. So they're definitely a couple of players that you could select there. And hopefully by this point you've got a few sort of dual front row forward 2RF. So we've got Tarpany, we've got Horsburgh as options there. You've got Torkel Harris has that dual, and then Ben Mokasilla is the dual if you need to use that as well. So a bunch of those guys have that, and that's going to be very, very helpful. In the front row forward position, I don't see a lot of options. Obviously, guys like Samuela Fainu, who's not playing this week, he could be someone you could use as like a cash down, but I would suggest against doing that in a week where he hasn't been named, and there's every chance that another week goes by and a few of the injured guys kind of come back to health and they could steal that spot back. But he did look very good, so keep him on your radars next week. Please avoid Valens Tafade as an option in your centre wing, guys. It's the last thing you want to do is bring one of those guys in. The young fella from the Titans, I think you need to avoid, with Jaden Campbell going to 6 this week. You might play a couple of weeks, but again, don't look at any of those cheap guys that we don't know a lot about until sort of their 3rd game, when it's potential for some cash rises there in that one. So my squad at the moment, I think I've kind of listened to a few of the other podcasts, and I really suggest you get onto those because it gives you a little bit of insight into some other players. Have a look at some other teams as well and see where they're at coming out of round 13, and did they go all in on the Pongers and these types of guys that have a bye in 14? And then they're struggling to potentially field a 17 here. You've got, Jared Croker's going to be rested, so that kind of hurts a lot of teams as well. I think you could probably sell him because he'll miss this week. You just get to watch his beautiful 300th game next week, and then he has a bye in 16. So he's been very serviceable. He's made plenty of cash and done a great job. And then there's obviously some worries around Tyrone Peachy losing his spot potentially to Isaac Tungo as well. So keep that in mind there, and shows why it's a little bit difficult. And if you have sort of 2 or 3 nuffs that aren't playing, obviously Davy Mwale, a few people have like the Jack Howarth and those type of players there. If you have a Wiramu Greg right now, he's a cheap guy that's obviously out this week. If you've got the couch from Murdoch Basila situation, most people are in some type of boat where they have sort of 2 to 4 guys that they're either not playing at all, or you just don't want to play in your 17. Like, Sonny Luke, you're not really excited about playing in your 17. You can almost call him enough at this point, unless he happens to get those bigger minutes that they're talking about with Kenny playing more middle through this Origin period there. So yeah, it's very, very difficult, I think, to get a really strong 17 this week. So I'm looking to, a few weeks ago, I went really, really well. Everything kind of worked out well. And then the 2 weeks after that started going backwards for me. So in this scenario, I don't want to go really well in 13. And then 14 really causes me to push back again and go back towards that 2,000 rank. We need a second one to go. And then round 15, I have no Cowboys players, so I want to be able to go really well in 15 and then kind of be set up for 16 as well. Sitting there with 2 boosts, that's the question this week. Is do I boost to try and get a really good round 14 team? But the question is, who do you trade out? And a lot of those guys, like the Marzus, the Garricks, all the Eels players with Gutho especially, it's kind of the one who's like, he's fairly well traded out. He's in the top 10 of trade outs. So they're the kind of players that you go, oh, do I actually want to trade them out? Or do I need to look forward a little bit to round 15, obviously, where you're going to want most of those guys. And obviously 16, they're all going to play. So, it's sacrificing a tiny bit in round 14, I think. And then getting them, getting that really good score in 16. If I have like 14 or 15 really good players for 16, 14 I think is going to be best again to do that. And all of those guys that did really well in 13, I think they can have a good crack again in 16. For those guys that, all the Knights, Manly, and also the Eels, they all obviously play in 16 as well. They're going to get their opportunity to do that again, and I think that's going to be very, very important. So round 14 for me, I think, is going to be just fixing up the edges a little bit. I mean, I was speaking about before, is I didn't want to play Bemdog Vasila. I don't want to be, don't really want to be playing Alamotti, but he's someone that, you could base 40 and then has an opportunity, obviously, to come out and get a try or a try assist, so he can sneak up to like a 55, 60. And, if I can get a 50 plus out of him, I'd be absolutely stoked. So there's that. He might have to stay. Do I trade Brandon Smith this week? For someone like Little, who has the upside, but could also get you like a 30 odd. So there's a few things to think about, obviously, with the potential, for Hines and Cleary to not back up. So good news is for our Supercoach team that we can wait until we find out a little bit more. Obviously, Thursday or Friday. I think we'll know probably by, Friday, if those guys are in any doubt to play or if they're a high chance. And really, with the question marks I have around my team and the trades I'm going to make this week, my goal would be to make 2. I think Ockenbaugh is definitely a potential guy to come in, because I think he can score fairly well this week with some good base and potentially the odd attacking stat there on that edge and in big minutes. I think that could be the cool one with Corey Waddell moving to 13. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with that whole scenario, to be honest with you. That's kind of the main worry about Ockenbaugh, is how long, how... I think the good thing is he's earned his spot, playing plenty of middle, and then, middle for the last couple of weeks, and then he's like, okay, you can get to start now, and on an edge, because he's he's obviously an ex-winger, now turned into a middle and an edge, so he's got the ability to step and the agility to play on an edge, and defensively he seemed to be okay. He's missing a couple of tackles, but he's going to grow into that role, and I think they might just push towards him being that other edge, which is crazy because Preston wasn't even the starting edge for him, and now he's the starting left edge, and then they've got now Ockenbaugh on the other side. They had Waddell for a long time, and obviously the Dogs have had so many injuries here as well. So I think we just wait a little bit, guys. It is obviously Wednesday morning here, and I think we can take a little bit of time to enjoy Origin tonight and then find out the fallout. Thankfully for me, I only have that couple of players in Hines and Cleary that are playing Origin. I decided to move on from Fafita, so it was either Fafita or Hines last week, and glad I went for Fafita because it allowed me to get to Osako and also Cody Walker, who I'm hoping that Walker plays a massive one this week after they lost, I believe, 2 in a row. So they'll really want to come out and win that one there. So yeah, very interesting with the squad at the moment. Let me know your thoughts. I will not be vicing Teague Wilton. That's just where it was when I moved. Hopgood for Wilton there. So wish you all the best of luck this week, and see you soon.